Hey everybody, Jordan Schwartz here with Strategic Wealth Designers, and today we're talking about how much to have in your emergency fund at the different stages of your life. Let's go in and check it out. Okay, so we're thinking about people's emergency funds. Now, my favorite way to categorize this is what stage are you at throughout your life? Now, for the purpose of today, which there's millions of different stages people are at in their life, let's just break it into three different groups. We have the young saver. Now, that's somebody who's starting out, maybe they've just gotten married, they're building their wealth for their family or themselves, and they're at a stage in life where they're in the accumulation mode, right? Retirement is a little bit over the horizon. They can't see light at the end of the tunnel, and they know that now is a critical time to build and grow their net worth. The second group that we have is the middle of the roaders. They're not the young group, and they're not necessarily the retirees and the pre-retirees. Maybe they're in their 30s and 40s, maybe early 50s, and they know they still have quite a while to go for retirement, maybe 15 to 20 years, and maybe they're in their highest income earning years at this point in the ball game, and maybe they're either playing a little bit of catch up to get to retirement, or they're trying to decide, well, how soon can I retire? The third group that we have is the pre-retirees and retirees. Now, this is the group right here that is either within 5 to 10 years from retirement or they're already retired. They have lived an awesome life. They want to sail off into the sunset and enjoy those golden years where they're celebrating time with their grandkids, their family, and just soaking in all the things that they've done throughout their life. So if we think about these three different groups right here, you hear the standard advice, which is 6 months of cash on the sidelines. That's overwhelming for a lot of people. If you're in this group right here, you're still building your career, you're starting out, and this is not necessarily feasible. A lot of people could get overwhelmed by this number saying, I can't save 6 months. Maybe my expenses are $3,000 a month or $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and what I'm supposed to save $20,000 to $40,000. Maybe you've got student loans in this group right here, and you're trying to figure out, I've got to pay off these loans and save for retirement. It can get overwhelming. Now, what I would do is this option right here, and this is gonna sound a little cheesy, is just do your best, right? I like this very simple, practical tool that you can use as you're starting to build your savings accounts, right? It's this old parable in this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. If you haven't read it before, it's great for getting started out in your finances. If you're watching this right now and you've got kids and grandkids, buy them a copy. This is invaluable. So it's the 70-20-10 rule. Now, this is gonna get overwhelming. 70% right here, not to understand, but overwhelming potentially if you're just building your wealth. 70% of your paycheck should go towards your living expenses. Now, if you're saying, Jordan, I can't save 70%, or I can't only live off of 70%, I need all of it, I get that. Just be with me for a second. I'm gonna talk about how we can build up to this, because this is a journey, it's not an immediate thing. This one right here, 20% goes towards debt. Maybe you've got student loans or credit card debt, or you have some sort of debt that you've accumulated early in life that you're trying to pay down. If you look at a mountain of debt, it can get overwhelming. I understand it 150%. But again, if we don't pay some of these things early on in life, this can follow us throughout the entirety of our lives. The 10% right here is how much do you save? How much can you save and build? Now, I like to do a mix of this one right here between your 401k through work or an IRA and your cash account. Now, obviously, if you look at some of the statistics, the average American doesn't necessarily have $1,000 they can get to in an emergency. So thinking 6 months is incredibly overwhelming. And some of you are maybe saying, I can't set aside 30% of my income. Well, let me ask you this. If the government came by and said, we're gonna charge 30% more in taxes, would you figure it out? Would you? Yeah. So I'd use the same practical strategy with this right here. Now, if you're starting off in this position, maybe you can do 95 and 5. Everybody's got to start somewhere, but what happens is, do you want to live a rich lifestyle or do you want to be wealthy? See, what happens for a lot of people is they get raises as their career's going on. It is so tempting to take that money and spend it before you get it, or say I could up my lifestyle. And see, the thing is, when you're in this stage of the game, if you can save money for retirement, you don't have to do as much work as you're older. Because again, you have the power of compound risk on your side. So for this group right here, do your best. As we start to move into the second stage right here, which is the middle of the rotors, I want to see 6 months to a year in this. Now, if you're at this stage in life, you are probably in higher income earning years. You maybe have a family and you have kids who are in school, and we know how expensive kids can be. So if we're in this stage in life, I always plan for the worst. I'm gonna knock on wood. You plan for the worst, you hope for the best. Well, I want anybody at this stage in life to be okay if something bad were to happen. Maybe somebody lost their job, or a spouse couldn't work anymore, or a health issue came up that was incredibly expensive. We need to make sure we've got money on the sidelines to be able to protect that. So for this group right here, I want to see 6 months to a year. And the reason why I want to see 6 months to a year is that typically you have a mortgage that's not quite yet paid off, maybe you have some cars, and then again there's other hobbies, travel, things that people want to do at this stage in life when they've got some more money. Now it's the same thing with this. If you're at this stage in life, this could be potentially maybe 10 to 15 years down the road, we should be making more money here than we are here. If you're not falling within this category right here, and hopefully by this time you've got almost, if not all of the debt paid off with this, we should try to be saving 15, maybe 20% of what we've got. See, if you look at some of the statistics, when you're just starting out, if you can save 10 to 15% of your income, that should get you through retirement. Here it ups to maybe 20, this ups to 30 or 40%. We want to do our work early on in retirement so we can leverage the power of compound growth. So I like to see 6 months to a year right here. Now this third group right here, the pre-retiree and the retiree, same thing, 6 months to a year, but I've got a little caveat to this. We don't have income coming in. We've got a house that's probably paid off or close to paid off. We've got cars that are maybe paid off, but we could need a new car here. We could need a new furnace. We could have all these different expenses that we're not planning on. I like to see someone closer to a year's worth of cash or investments that they can get their hands on. See, if you've got an IRA and there's a part of it that's relatively safe, we could use that as kind of an emergency fund. But the reason why this number here is so much more important is I like to see people on this spectrum is because costs come up and we don't have the high income to cover it and we don't want to dip into our retirement accounts. Now the one exception I'll say is if you and your spouse have Social Security and you've got a pension and maybe you've even got rentals or investment properties, this is the point in time where this isn't as important if you've got a lot here. See, if all of your fixed income or your expenses for life are paid for, this makes this number not as important. But again, if we look along the spectrum, do your best for the young accumulator. Try to save as much as you possibly can. And then again, look at the 70-20-10 rule right here. Middle of the roaders, 6 months to a year. Have that emergency fund where if something doesn't go your way, you've got money to be able to cover and take care of things. And then this one right here, the pre-retiree and the retiree, 6 months to a year. I like to err on the side of caution and have more because we don't know the cost and some of the medical issues that could come up as we move later in life. Now, if you all like this video right here, click on the discretionary video on the box just above. There's some awesome tips that tie in right here. As well as that too, subscribe to our page. And if you have any questions at all, send us an email at info@swdgroup.com.